social, that they're not talented, that they don't work as hard as other people, that they're unclean and unkempt. And then they meet me, and I am none of those things.
You are a
And
diva.
I am a little bit of a diva. I love being outside
A
and being
diva in a good way.
in a good way. I'm a positivity diva.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reality is most plus women aren't that way. But they become that way because they've allowed themselves to be shaped by the narrative that's going around weight. Now, I want to be very clear. I don't advocate for any body type over the other. What I advocate for is that we are all in very different bodies. And our goal and our, thing that we should really be pursuing is how to be the best person we can be in the body we have now. Now, that body may change and adapt to support you better. That's okay. But that doesn't mean you have to hate yourself in that process as well.
Mm-hmm. And don't you think that that's what happens more often than not? I've talked to people who have lost 100 plus pounds and who have been overweight their whole lives, and they still see themselves overweight, though they have lost 100 plus pounds.
Totally. I mean, I hear that all the time. And it's funny because people always say things like, wouldn't you be happier if you were thin? I was like, I actually don't think I would be happier. There'd be some things about my life that would be easier. And I'm not going to pretend that they wouldn't be. But my happiness is really not tethered to that. I really don't look at it and go, when I hit this magical goal, then I have worth. In fact, even the way our brain works, that's not how our brain works. When we start identifying ourselves as something, and I talk a little bit about this in the book, that's how we actually progress to it. So if you thin is actually not an achievable thing because it's an adjective, right? And it's all relative. So it's not an attainable goal. It's a descriptor. Just like health, the word health, being healthy is not actually attainable. Even the World Health Organization has said we can't have an absolute factor for health because there's all these things that go around health that we can't control. We don't know what your genetics are or your environment or what chemicals we're exposed to today, what effect they'll have in 20 years. What we can do is make choices that are healthier, right?
Right.
So it's all about reframing the narrative from this view of absolutes to doing the best you can. We talked a little bit about this, personally on the side. The reality is when we say something is or is not one thing, we also limit the possibility that our current understanding is not the full picture, right?
Absolutely.
So if I took myself as a kid and said, you're a bad kid, that's an absolute, right? That limits my potential. For a lot of people, that would be limiting. But because I decided to kind of do away with this absolute perspective, it's very has changed my life.
Was there a moment, Anna, because I stick out that you are the exception and not the rule. With everything that you describe in the book that you went through as a child and quitting high school and not feeling accepted by the friend groups and, so many young people and even older people face these challenges, but is there a seminal moment when you decide I am not who they say that I am. These are the things that I did, but this is not who I am.
That's a hard question to answer. I can't say whether I'm the exception or I'm the everyday person, but what I can tell you is I've worked with a lot of kids, with what I do on social media. And I've seen being exposed to different role models, being exposed to people that teach them to explore who they are has fundamentally changed their lives and has taken away a lot of that doubt. So I think a lot of it is the seminal moments in our life is going to be different for every single person. But the first step is A, recognizing your emotions, and B, being open to those opportunities. One of the things I talk about a little bit in the book is this perception of thinking you are worthy of an opportunity. We are trained to think that we are not lucky, and we use this word luck all the time. And there's been a lot of research on luck. And luck is 95% a mind state, because people who believe they are lucky are more likely to recognize opportunities than people who don't believe they're lucky. So by all intents and purposes, being lucky is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think you're lucky, you will be.
Absolutely.
If you think you're unlucky, you won't be.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it is the first stage of recognizing that you have opportunity, period. Right? Regardless of where you are in your stage, whether it's that opportunity is this huge, amazing thing or this small, little thing, recognizing that you are worthy, and we talk a lot about worth, is really about the first step. And I think our current narrative about worth is that it is a finite resource, that
Right.
there's only a little bit of worth in the world and we're all having to take everybody else's worth to get our worth. And the reality is worth is an infinite resource.